if I'm live.
You are,
Hello.
you are.
All right. Hi. Good morning. This is Malcolm Nance. Welcome to Black Man Spy U.S. Iran Warcast, day 136. I have been using my laptop recently as opposed to my app on my phone. And I've recently been getting these crazy error warnings that say error going live. But then Wajeeh comes and he looks and he goes, "You're live." That's what happened when we were transmitting from New York City. So I'm going to update my app. Maybe that's what it takes. And I am on broadband Wi Fi. So hopefully that this signal will keep going. I cannot see your crazy comments or your chats right here, but I do have a question section posted on the Black Man Spy chats. Day 136, post your questions there. Waja will have to tell me any cool jokes or interesting comments that's made on the side chat.
They're saying you're looking great.
All right, good. Just let me know, Waj, when we get to 1,000 followers, because as you know, first 5-10 minutes of the show, we don't want to have to repeat ourselves. So we banter a little bit. So, Waja, first off, do you have a coffee mug today or what?
Yeah, my university mug.
All right. Well, it's exceptionally hot here in upstate New York. So I don't have a mug. I'm about to travel and I am sporting San Pellegrinos this morning because it is hot. It's getting hot here and it's going to be almost 100 degrees in upstate New York. New York City, I can't even imagine being down there. Yesterday it was pleasant. It was wonderful. It was beautiful. I was sitting on that balcony. I had to put on my sunglasses. It was so bright out there. It was awesome, but can't stay awesome everywhere all the time. And I know a lot of you are going through this heat event too. So my condolences. But that being said, uh, we don't have Jacob Carsbo, Danish intelligence officer extraordinaire, today because he is at a family event. He's on vacation. His wife is actually a much higher level gross income earning individual than he is. So he does all the cooking around the house while she's the boss. And she actually is like a boss on a global scale. So
Wow.
he and she are taking some rest time up in Jutland, the tippy peak of what do you call that country? Denmark. That's right. And right at the point where it goes from North Sea to Baltic Sea, he is 15 kilometers away from that peak, enjoying life, drinking from an IKEA coffee cup, even as we speak. And Waja, the gay lion, Saudi geopolitical analyst, Middle East expert extraordinaire, he is not a spook. He is just someone who brings to us a depth of knowledge of culture, language, and intellect, as well as being on the outs. So he knows better than everything, and he lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm sure you'll see him wandering around with his University of Minnesota coffee mug, which because he's a student. He's a baby again. He's back to being a baby. What do you call it? You're a stud, so baby
Back to
student.
being a freshman.
Actually, you're like that Rodney Dangerfield movie where he goes back to school. I think that's the name of the movie is Back to School. All right. And this guy's like a 65-year-old freshman in university. uh, an interesting one. And it all ends up with him doing a cannonball into a swimming pool. Movies were very weird back then, right? So that being said, since we don't have Jacob today, we have all of your expertise. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to check the price of oil because we are truly, without any question, no joke, still involved 136 days later in an oil war. And that war apparently is going to take off again today. So we shall see. Price of oil, it shows WTI crude at $71.41, down 67 cents. Brent North Sea crude, $76.01, down 29 cents. Murban at $70, down 40 cents. These figures, by the way, I was reading an oil trader's commentary this morning. Thank you, Wajeeh. We appreciate that. I was watching an oil trader's commentary this morning, and he says, these are for, wait for it, August deliveries. These are a month out, and they are essentially buying and betting that everything's going to be super cheap. And the price of oil appears to be, artificially low. Actual people who have to buy, sell, and trade oil are saying that this is being pushed by Strategic Petroleum Reserve, Trump's emptying of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. We talked about it extensively yesterday. And if any of you have commentary on it, send that commentary posted inside the questions. But there's an artificial cushion there. Oil should be well over $100 a barrel. And we know the Saudis want it back up to $87 a barrel, right, Watch?
Oh, Saudis needed to be at $111 a barrel at least to
Yeah,
continue the Project 2030. By the way, what kind of watch are you rocking today?
Oh, well, this is my watch. I've got a couple of watches, but I will leave that as a mystery. It is a watch at we have these people out there who, because we don't talk about watches on this show. We talk about fountain pens, don't we?
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah, we do.
like sweet, sweet pens like this, right? And we talk about coffee mugs, but we generally don't. And we talk about crazy headgear, but we generally don't talk about watches. I like to leave my watches a mystery. There's people out there who, there's crazy folks out there, and they make a lot of crazy commentary. And they were like, "Oh my God, you got an expensive watch. You must be stealing money from the Central Reserve." I'm not joking. There's crazy folks out there. My favorite comment is anyway. It's nutty out there. I have a couple of watches. One of them is famous because it's the watch that I wore in Ukraine, and it was because when I left MSNBC, back for those of you in the back, because there was that crazy guy last week. He was like, Rachel Maddow fired Malcolm Nance and kicked him off because she found that he was a grifting fraud. And it's like, Rachel Maddow didn't hire me. Rachel Maddow is just one host. MSNBC Universal hired me, and I worked for everybody. Any show that wanted me, NBC News, Nightly News, whatever, I worked for that. If they want a commentary, I just came on and gave them commentary. So, but it's more fun to MAGA guys because they hate Rachel Maddow, right? Rachel Maddow. Rachel Maddow hates Malcolm. Rachel Maddow was the person who recommended to MSNBC that I come on board back in 2008, I think it was. And I was on board MSNBC from 2000. Wow. I thought I was on for 7 years. No, it's further than that, much further than that. Oh, sorry. I forgot how long I was there. But I was a guest for a couple of years, and then I was hired. When you're a contributor, you're paid. You are a paid employee of NBC Universal. You get pay slips, you get a badge. It's really cool. So anyway, but that watch
Have you
became
heard of
famous.
this? Have you heard of the channel called Watches of Espionage?
Yeah, and in fact, that's where that watch was put when I left MSNBC and went on there. And wow, because it was run by a former CIA guy.
Yeah.
And I have bunches of photos. I showed you, photos of me in Iraq. I have photos of me in other places where my watch is shown. But that one generated controversy because there's this whole crew of negative MAGA. As you guys know, that guy who came on who actually paid to paid me. You know what? If you guys pay me $800 a year, I'll take your insults. I'll let I'll let my followers take care of you. But if that group actually was this when what came up on Watches of Espionage, that photo of me with my watch. I mean, these guys went nuts. They were looking at what model of watch it was, what version of that watch it was, why I was wearing that watch, and and where did he get that? And he's trying to fake being something by wearing that watch. It's like, and then the other group of guys is like, that guy's in Ukraine with a weapon in the army. It's like, how do you fake that? He was, and to tell you the truth, when I made that video, it was at 2 in the morning because Joy Reid
Wow.
is 8 in the evening. It was 2 in the morning, started to snow, 0 degree temperature, and in the middle of an air raid. Okay, in the middle of an air raid. So I was like, I wasn't taking no guff. And there's actually a meme out there about it where I cleared the weapon 3 times. It was an AK-47. I cleared the weapon 3 times, and I put the magazine in because made sure there was no ammunition in the magazine. Because when you're doing an interview on NBC, you don't want to have an accidental or a negligent discharge on television while I'm broadcasting to the world that I've left NBC and joined the Ukrainian army. And the group that I was with was GUR, was Ukrainian Defense Intelligence. Ministry of Defense Intelligence, which is sort of a hybrid of DIA, CIA. So, these guys are like, oh, it's all fake. It's all staged. But all I'm saying is this: when they saw that watch, oh my God, they went nuts. And half the people are like, hey, that dude's out there doing it. Where are you at? You're reading watches of
Mhm.
espionage. You're not on watches of espionage. and and then some guy goes, that's a tag here, blah, 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 UDT, whatever version, UDT 1000 made popular by a TV show. And I was like, that's not why I have the watch. There's a reason why I have the watch. And
It, it it's all your fault. You didn't wear brightly.
you mean this one? which which one? Which one? Now, I'm not like that CIA guy who stole $40 million in gold bricks. A CIA
Damn.
guy who, by the way, had invented his military service, had claimed that he was
Yes.
a
He
Navy
said he was a
fighter.
pilot. Yeah.
He failed the polygraph twice, and then when they came back, you know what they did? They gave him the white guy discount, and they let him in. And then he goes on years later, career. This guy's his career executive, steals $40 million in gold bars. And I guess at some point somebody said, hey, every once in a while we do an audit. And this guy had, wait for it, he had 25 high-end watches, like Philippe Patek,
Rick
Tourbillon,
Charmel.
Tourbillon. This guy was like rocking these $100,000 Tourbillon watches, and so you see these guys out there, and you're like, holy shit, you know, I'm not rich. I got some bad news for you, but I have a couple of watches, and to tell you the truth, most of my career I wore G-Shocks. I have the
Yeah.
G-Shock I have the G-Shock I wore in Afghanistan when I went to Bin Laden's house. And oh, I want to tell you one last thing. How many people do we have on now? Are we up to 1,000?
We have 832.
Oh,
We 1,100. 1,100
oh, we
now.
broke over. Okay, great. Because I thought everybody was taking a lazy Saturday. But that's enough about watches. Let's talk about what's really important in this universe. And that's how Donald Trump feels about the world and how he feels the world thinks about him. For those of you who are watching this morning, and you noticed again, I got away from Peacecast, Globalcast, all that. We're back to Warcast. For a little while, we were at War-ish cast. Now we're keeping Warcast up because we are pretty much
War.
stepping into a state of war. Yesterday, Donald Trump announced to the world that he had some conditions on Iran and that the United States would give Iran 24 hours, right? Gang signs, right? Watch, check it out. Shoot, shoot. Gang signs, 24, 24, yo. We're giving 24 hours. That's the Trump gang sign, right? We with the two-foe, and 24 hours to essentially surrender the Strait of Hormuz to America. And here's what he said, if Iran does not, one, publicly reopen the Strait of Hormuz to the world without tolls, tariffs, or fees, which is amazing because, this is a man that loves some tariffs, right? And fees. And number two, Iran must publicly acknowledge that they will stop hitting ships. Good.
Oh, they have to publicly announce that the Strait of Hormuz is open.
Yes, that's the first thing. They have to publicly announce. Halas, everyone who is listening, Hussein, get their attention. Everyone listen. Strait of Hormuz open, I swear.
Come through the strait. Come through the easy pass.
Easy pass. No easy pass. All pass good. Multi-pass. So, they must not charge fees or tariffs. And finally, let me tell them the best part. They must admit they, quote unquote, they admit they screwed up, unquote.
Say sorry. Say sorry. Say you apologize. You offended my feelings this time.
Say sorry.
Say sorry.
Say you're sorry.
Let the world know that you're apologizing.
Say sorry. I'm going to get the exact words because there's more. But Malcolm, thinking, I want all of you to have a good laugh over this. So let's recap. Trump has given Iran an ultimatum which ends today. Al Yom, right? What as they say in Iran. Bahi, right? That's good.
Bahi.
So they must again publicly reopen the Strait of Hormuz. All parts, not only one part, all parts. Alas. Two.
Because before it was only secretly open.
Yes, only partially open. Number two, they must stop attacking ships and acknowledge they will not attack ships. No more ship attacks. Alas, no problem. Number three, no tolls or fees. Everything open, back to normal, February 27th or February 28th, 11:59 a.m. Right? 1 minute before they killed Ayatollah Khamenei, Mujtaba al-Khamenei's wife and Mujtaba al-Khamenei's daughter. Okay? That is that. And then finally, Iran must admit, quote, they screwed up by attacking ships in the Strait of Hormuz and starting this whole cycle of violence in which the United States went from strike to big strike to super, you can't see my arms, super big strike, right? And that's why Trump is now being magnanimous and giving them the 2-4, right? 24 hours to do all that, which is a lot of time, considering we've been at this 136 days. Most importantly, I think all of you need to recognize something. That 24 hours runs out at 5 p.m. today. 5 p.m. Eastern time, which is exactly airstrike time in the Middle East, right? We always attack at 1 a.m., 2 a.m. What is 5, 10, 11, 12? 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m. 1 a.m. to 1:30, 0 dark 30 is the official time there, is when they're going to attack. Because Iran gets a half hour, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe they're like Afghanistan. Okay, Wajeeh, what do you say about all that?
Coincidentally, as Trump is issuing these statements, like minutes before his statement came out, or minutes right after his statement came out, the Iranian government was publishing a statement at the same time the Trump administration was issuing a statement, and they're like, the Strait of Hormuz is under full control of their IRGC, and anything that goes through it is under our supervision. Not even Oman. They did not even include Oman.
Well, yes.
So if you want anything, you go through us. And the other thing is that Mujtaba came minutes after that and was issuing his no, Mujtaba came out an hour ago.
Ah, tell me.
Issuing his letter of revenge toward the United States.
Okay, stop. Stop. This is almost Trump. Not a strongly worded letter, a letter of revenge. A revenge letter. What does the revenge letter say? Middle East desk. What does the revenge letter say?
That's why I was
This
looking at the screen. I
story.
was trying to pull the letter. That's why I was looking at the screen.
I love this
Hold on.
story. Okay.
I published it. Hold on. No, I didn't publish the whole thing. Mujtaba.
Okay. Well, while you're doing that, needless to say, many of you will say, Malcolm, this is so funny. What is the source for these crazy statements that Trump has made giving around the big two foe? Axios. And who do you think wrote the article? There are no other journalists at Axios, so far as I can tell. All right. I'm pretty sure that Axios has like one editor and Barack Ravid sitting at a table, with 12 phones in front of him because every member of Trump's cabinet has been ordered to call him to give the information that they want. So this story came from Axios yesterday in an article called Trump Says Iran Talks Will Continue, but the ceasefire is over. Axios even put it in capitals, over, VER. And that's when Trump made his ultimatum again that the Strait of Hormuz has to open. Now, if I didn't know any better, I would say that he is absolutely batshit crazy and dead dog desperate to get the Strait of Hormuz open. And I just do not understand him because this is senility. I'm saying as a professional, as an intelligence professional, if this were Idi Amin or Saddam Hussein or Muammar al-Gaddafi, yes, they are extraordinary. Yes, they are eccentric. Yes, they have a mindset which we cannot fathom. But none of them were senile. None of them were mentally ill. They all had the same psychopathology, which was they were psychopaths, right? They were all malignant narcissists. But Donald Trump, I expect to see him one of these days. I shit you not. He's going to walk out of the White House, no pants, wearing bunny slippers with a shitty diaper. And he's going to be chased by that chick. What's her name? Natalie Harper with a fresh diaper. And he's going to have a baby pacifier in his mouth. All right. He's going to come out dressed like Baby Huey with a stinky diaper. And everyone's going to go, a literal king has no clothes. And Barack Ravid and the rest of the American news media is going to say, the president did not prepare for his remarks today. He'll come out buck ass naked in the dirty ass diaper, dressed like Baby Huey. And for those of you who don't know who Baby Huey is, we'll talk. But do you have the letter O Revenge? Did you find it?
Yes.
Halas, let's hear the
There
letter O
is
Revenge, and I'll cue you in on Baby Huey.
there are four key details regarding this letter. The first was the vow of vengeance, where Mujtaba Khamenei wrote, "We pledge to avenge your pure blood and the blood of all the martyrs of these two wars by holding their criminals and disgraced killers accountable." Second point was warning to the foreign leaders. The letter explicitly threatened U.S. and Israeli leadership, stating that the criminals responsible will take their dream of dying peacefully in their beds with them to their graves. The third point was he was emphasizing institutional continuity, where he emphasized that the relations and the visible writing, wherever we are here or not, this will be realized and soon. he made it clear that the directive does not depend solely on his presence or that of the other senior officials, meaning if you kill him, others will carry the same exact mission toward the American people. Simultaneously, he's saying there is no negotiation. The Iranian state affairs media agencies like Fars News has cited sources confirming that talks with Washington are completely off the table until the
You
U.S.
think?
backs down from its military positions.
You think? Okay, so we are. Hold on, I'm just writing something down, some based on what you said there. That is a letter of revenge. I just want to point something out to you. Okay, as you all know, I was a widower. I lost my wife, and she passed away peacefully with my family around, and it was devastating to me. It's been 6 years, still devastating every minute. This man, though, Mujtaba al Khamenei, was in a bunker with his father and other leaders of the IRGC when the Israelis dropped dozens of air launched ballistic missiles down on him and flame, flash, building construction falling on you. And you come up out of that from a daze, you're in a hospital, and you find that your father, your wife, and your baby girl, your daughter, your child were all decimated, literally blown to pieces in that attack. And then you wake up and find out not only did the Israelis do it, they did it in coordination with the United States. And now your country has thousands of aircraft flying over it and bombing it. So do you think, no matter how clear headed this man is, no matter how much he beseeches Allah, because all of this happened because God allowed it to, right? Watch.
Mm-hmm. بإذن الله
You,
كل شيء يحصل بإذن الله.
everything is the will of
Everything
God.
happens in the yep.
Because of God. Nothing happens to you. God willed this to him. But I'm really trying to give you guys a mindset of reset here about when you think about Mujtaba al-Khamenei. Yes, you have the opportunity to beseech God to help you get through this because it is a test God sent to you, losing your wife, your daughter, your kid, your father, simultaneously, plus dozens of other people you've known. And maybe you're a cripple. Maybe he has lost a leg. Maybe he does have burns all over his body. But the people, the leadership have chosen you to lead that country.
Mm-hmm.
And you decide to write a letter of revenge. Now,
You
I'm going
know,
to tell you, I just one more point.
go for it.
As a widower, nothing sucks more than this job. It's a horrible job. So I'm pretty sure that letter of revenge has got a shitload of "I'm gonna get your ass" in
Mm-hmm.
it. It is not him saying, "Oh, I have to write a flowery letter so that my people understand that I am the true leader of this Islamic nation." Oh no, I'm gonna get your ass. His wife was in that truck that they did the big parade in. The little coffin was his daughter. There's a lot of fucking grudge that's going to be in anything that comes out of Mujtaba al Khamenei's ass, out of his mouth. Okay? So when you hear people say, Malcolm, is it true? It's in the forum. People have already asked, is it true that the Iranians want to kill Trump? Yes,
Yeah.
he is. I have some bad news for you. He is a legitimate target in time of war.
Oh
So
no,
fuck
no. This is exactly the point I was going to talk about, Malcolm. A week
yours.
ago,
Tell me. Tell me about it.
a, a week ago on my podcast, the Q&A, I was in a way being sarcastic, but that is the point I'm making. I said if people around Trump actually love him, if people around Trump actually care about him, they would say, Mr. President,
If they
attacking the Supreme. Yeah, if they cared about him, and I'm saying they don't, because if they did, you would go, Mr. President. If we kill the Supreme Leader, you will have a target on your back for the rest of your life and your family.
Yeah. But
Because
go ahead.
because what you end up having, it is a revenge. You have people who are independently inspired. You have people who are gonna who are already told the message from the supreme leader that the target is the president of the United States and the prime minister of Israel. This is very clear targets. These are like, remember the guy that wrote the book Verses of Infidelity, or the
No, no, no. Satanic verses. You're talking to
Satanic verse?
Salman Rushdie.
He, that guy didn't even that guy didn't even touch the Iranian government. This guy didn't even
Oh,
attack the Iranian government. Meanwhile, you got a person that killed the goddamn supreme leader, the ruler, the faith imam of the guidance for the whole Shi'i ummah. Of course, this is serious shit. This is, you have a target on your back for the rest of your life.
right. Salman Rushdie he's had several assassination attempts. The guy tried to stab him to death about, what was it, 10 years ago? Stabbed him multiple times, right? And brought him near death. And I read the book Satanic Verses, but I read it from an Islamic perspective too, and I could see where people thought he was reinterpreting Islam and charged them with apostasy. I think they just like shouting at motherfuckers. But with regards to a national leader being killed, I just don't understand how Trump can come out and go, the Iranians are trying to kill me. I can't believe it. They're trying to actually get me. You're president of the United States. Someone is always trying to kill you. The position, it comes with the job. You're not cool like Obama, but Obama had hundreds of death threats. They actually sent people to prison for trying to kill Obama, who actually were there en route, weapons going to try to kill him, shoot their way through the Secret Service. But when you go and literally assassinate the ruler of a country and wipe out his family, wipe out all his friends, wipe out the leadership, what in God's name makes you think that the Iranians won't threaten to do that to you? It is not against the rules of war to take out national leadership if they are within the military chain of command. And since we made the determination with Benjamin Netanyahu that the Iranian senior leadership was the pinnacle of their military command structure. Therefore, they killed him. And then didn't even try to mitigate civilian casualties. They made sure that everyone in that fucking building was dead. Man, woman, child, servant, cleaning lady. And now I literally cannot believe I see people out there acting outraged that the Iranians would write this letter and say, oh, yeah, we're coming for your ass. Okay, well, maybe you should have thought about that when you were targeting,
What did you expect?
the senior leadership. But, this comes with the job. It's just Trump and MAGA's crazy response to this. The Iranians are trying to kill us. What? Dude, did you even notice there was a war going on for the last 136 days? I just find that absolutely amazing. And I can't use the word hypocrisy anymore because Republicans don't believe in hypocrisy. To be a hypocrite, you have to have shame. Okay, you have to be ashamed of what you've done. They're not ashamed, they're not embarrassed. And as far as they're concerned, this is awesome. Voila. Speaking of awesome, Wajeeh, Trump has a tweet.
Hey, is it this morning?
Yes.
Ugh.
This is actually from earlier today, or might have been late yesterday. In response to the 24-hour ultimatum, Donald Trump read, I'm going to hold this up so some people can actually go to that tweet. See, that's the tweet that I'm talking
Oh yeah,
about.
the locked and loaded.
1,000 missiles are locked and loaded and aimed at the Islamic Republic of Iran, with thousands of more to immediately follow. Should the Iranian government act on its threat, pronounced in many quarters of the globe, to assassinate or attempt to assassinate the sitting president of the United States of America, in this case, me? He put it in all caps. I shit you not. He put it in all caps. Me! Orders have already been given, and the U.S. military is ready, willing, and able for a 1 year period of time, subject to extension, to completely decimate and destroy all areas of Iran. Praise be to Allah.
I feel bad for these. I feel bad for these missiles. They're getting a lot of bad rep.
Wajeeh for the win. You feel bad for the missile. You, Middle East desk. That's what I'm gonna start calling you because this is our watch station. Middle East desk. You might
Why?
explain that to the assembled collect watch team.
Yeah, we're 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 literally fucking destroying our military, taking missiles from Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, so we go fight a war that's worthless. Literally, we're literally shooting like they were meant to be targeted at China. They're meant to be targeted at Russia. They're meant to be targeted at like big adversaries for important war. But unfortunately, these missiles weren't used for their intended purposes, so they're being genuinely disrespected. So genuinely, I feel bad. Like all the hangs that went on that, like real horrible. Like when you even light a cigar, you're not even allowed to ash it in a certain way because human hands came on it and operated it. The United
And
States spends millions and
you
millions on
respect that cigar, right? You respect that cigar. Is that what you're saying? You're putting
yeah,
respect on that
yeah,
cigar.
I respect that cigar. Look at how we treat weapons in Saudi Arabia and the Middle East. We treat them with respect. We give it to dictators. We target our neighbors and win wars and lose wars. But this one is worthless.
Like they're dumb bombs. No, they're
Yeah,
smart bombs. Smart bombs. We should treat them with more respect. You know, if I was on a ship, I could turn to my left and go, weapons, the weapons officer. Weps, what do you think about this? Okay. I feel very disrespected, Chief.
these are my babies. I've been taking care of them for the last 5 years.
Disrespecting the weapons. Okay, so this is so much fun. I want to read this again because you guys just will not believe it. 1,000 missiles are locked and loaded and aimed at the Islamic Republic of Iran, with thousands more to immediately follow. Should the Iran what are they saying in the chat? Are they laughing?
They're laughing their ass off. They're all laughing their ass off. I can't. You're killing me.
With thousands more to follow, should the Iranian government act on its threat, pronounced in many quarters of the globe, to assassinate or attempt to assassinate the sitting president of the United States. In this case, me. Orders have
Me.
already me in caps. Y'all ain't gonna believe that. Me in caps. Orders have already been given, and the U.S. military is ready, willing, and able for a period of 1 year, subject to extension, to completely decimate and destroy all areas of Iran. Praise be to Allah. This guy is not only is he a racist, sexist, bigot, he is an anti-Semite, anti-Muslim. He is just a moron. I swear that will go
No.
down in presidential history. There will be a museum of stupid things Trump said, and you can read those, and you will never believe it. School kids will not believe it until they go through, and teachers are like, "Don't say stupid shit like this." Okay.
My dear Republicans, I need to tell you, my dear far right people, Trump has converted to Islam. He met with the
Yep.
Saudis, he gave them the Shahada, and every once in a while he gives it out to the people, letting them know. Praise be to Allah. Now you need to know who's playing you for a fool. Is it Obama or is it Trump?
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that being said, that is the big news this morning. I could go on. Let's go on with some of the small news, and then we will move on to questions because today this is all we want you to concentrate on. Because they could assassinate the president of the United States. And in this case, me. like,
Me.
you know what? What's funny is he writes it like he just figured it out. He goes, they said they're going to assassinate the president of the United States. Yikes, that's me. That's a moron. Okay.
And the Iranians are saying, well, we didn't do the last breach of the MOU. We didn't do the
Yeah.
attack. It was the
Yeah.
United States that attacked us.
Okay. So, in the meantime, there have been reports that there are multiple explosions that have been heard around Tehran. The government around Tehran has come back and said, listen, it is not the Israelis, it is not the Kuwaitis, Qataris, or Bahrainis attacking. Ukrainian, listen to me. Iranian explosive ordnance disposal teams are blowing up munitions that didn't explode during the war. As many as 3 to 10% of our munitions do not explode all the time. Sometimes bombs get wedged into streets. We see in England and Germany, they find 2,000-pound bombs from World War II all the time, all the time. In France, when I go to France and they plow up fields out in the Somme and Verdun, all these places, thousands of pieces of explosives are found every year. And it's been 100 years since, or 110 years, we're going on 108 years since the end of World War One. So, yeah, UXO is what this is called, unexploded ordnance everywhere. All right. So, in fact, when I do our tours out in Egypt, where we do this history of special operations, long range desert group, special operations executive, and the SAS, we go to the El Alamein battlefield. And we do go with the tribes down into the desert, right? And believe me, we do a big ass UXO briefing before we do that. And we show you all the mines from World War II, all the hand grenades, all the rifle ammunition. And we want you, if we're there, we go to places that have been cleared, but we only walk down donkey tracks, okay, or human tracks. We never, if you see from the air, the Egyptians have done massive clearing. They cleared, are you ready for this? In the last 10 years, the Egyptian army has cleared over 2 million pieces of landmines in UXO. And they use machines, giant machines that literally will plow up the earth in front of them, lift up all the dirt going down to a meter. That's 3 feet. And they will catch all that ordnance. And if the ordnance doesn't explode, it gets dumped into a hopper, right? And if it does explode, it explodes off the sifter and it'll take explosions. It'll go over these things. Or they put rollers out in front of tanks. And then when they've done that twice to a depth of 6 feet where they sifted through it, then they will declare that area cleared. Right. And
Wow.
we saw from satellite, we were looking at satellite imagery, that they had just gone through this area that we had gone, and they have displays of all these mines from World War II. Same thing exists all over Iran today. We dropped thousand, what did they say? 10,000, 20,000 targets. As many as
Mhm.
2,000 of those pieces of ordnance may not have exploded. So don't go into panic mode that you see on Twitter that Iran is being bombarded secretly by Israel. They're just blowing up UXO, unexploded ordnance. Finally, the last
My
thing I want to. Oh, go ahead, please.
Since you're talking about trips to the Middle East, if you can get your hands legally on a radar scanner, I always recommend people to do that in the Middle East. because
But
if you get
radar or police? You mean like a
but no,
radar
no,
gun?
no, no, underground, no, underground scanner, underground
No,
scanner,
no, you're talking about a metal detector,
a metal
also known
detector for a
also
special metal.
also known as a minesweeper. So go ahead. What's your question? Uh,
No, no, it's not a question. It's a comment.
metal
Not a minesweeper.
metal detector.
Because metal detector, because if you go to some of the further areas that are away from civilization, there used to be civilizations out there. And when you scan, most people don't scan there all the time. A lot of people do get lucky and get their hands on stuff worth tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of
Yeah.
thousands of
Okay.
dollars.
Let's stop this conversation right here. Okay, because 10 years ago, I was invited to Egypt after ISIS went on their marauding all over the Middle East and started destroying
Oh yeah.
antiquities. And I was a representative for the Antiquities Coalition as the counterterrorism speaker on what the Islamic State and other groups were doing. And I was attached to one of the Ministry of Antiquities top guys, right? This guy was opening three brand new museums in Cairo for the kings. And they gave us a briefing on modern antiquity theft. And the way that it happens is everybody who buys a house, okay, or who rents a house, if it has a basement and it's anywhere near anything, they start digging down below the
I did.
house and they start hunting for Egyptian reliquary and they go 10, 30 meters below the house and they find stuff. And he showed us a room of stuff that had just been seized by the Egyptian police. But he says you can tell because what you'll see is they won't have like a construction site material out there, right? It'll just be piles of deep sand and dirt piled up next to the house coming out of the basement. And the Antiquities Ministry has cops looking for this. And they'll send kids down on a rope and they'll be digging. So do not dig for nothing while you're in Egypt, okay? Fastest way to jail. There are people who will also offer you things. When I lived in Abu Dhabi, I knew the king of Egyptian souvenirs. Great guy, one of the nicest people I've ever met. But he owns like 90% of all souvenirs made in Egypt. And when I was
Wow.
back there in the 1980s, he was like, back in the 1980s, all souvenirs were made in Egypt. He goes, everything comes from China now for us. So virtually everything is trash. Everything is trash. If you don't see it made in front of your eyes, and then you should be prepared that it's Chinese and they actually swap it or something. But if it's not gold with your name on it, or it's not something that's made in front of your eyes, or Egyptian cotton that's not made in China. Egyptian linen. They don't let that
Yeah.
shit come in because it's a real industry there. But antiquities, yeah, most of that stuff is fake. And you know what? Take a fake antiquity with you. Yeah, I got one. I got one behind me. Back here, it looks like the Maltese Falcon, next to those liquor bottles. And it's a tortoise that I bought in 1984 in Alexandria, Egypt. And when I told him, he saw it one time. He goes, "That's real. I mean, real, not an antiquity, but it's a real souvenir that was made in Egypt." He goes, "That one looks like it was made in the 1960s." But he
So,
says
so
now anything that's
I'm
black
not.
is actually crushed compressed powder.
I'm not talking about Pharaoh stuff. I'm
Uh-huh.
talking about Ottoman stuff, things that go back to the
Uh,
Ottoman
y-
Empire, because they go. If they you can legally in Jordan, Syria, the Ottoman stuff you can get your hands on, and that
you can
is
get your
such a
you can
hands
get your
on.
hands on it, but you ain't leaving that country with it. Okay, because
Oh,
in Egypt, for example, an antiquity is anything that is older than 100 years old. So it cannot be moved, cannot be sold, cannot be traded. So right now, anything older than 1926, right,
okay.
is an antiquity. So, for example, there are guys who have cars there, and they were like, "Oh, well, we saw a car from 1905 or something, some Ottoman era, car that was used." And this guy was Like I can sell it in Egypt, but I can't sell it to anyone overseas. So that's how the Ministry of Antiquities does that. And so, for example, they're coming up into 20 years, World War II, nothing can be sold there, right? Like 10 million men or some crazy number of men lived or transited through Egypt. So, all right, how do we get onto that from from UXO? Finally, the last thing I want to talk about is Muwafaq al-Salti Air Base in Jordan was attacked the other day by the
Mhm.
Iranians. Remember they said nothing got through? Satellite imagery shows two American-built F-22 hardened shelters for advanced American aircraft that were only a year old were struck with ballistic missiles. And if there were U.S. aircraft inside them, they are destroyed. And these were built for American F-35s, not F-22s. So that is what's going on in the Middle East. Waja, anything else you want to talk about before we go to questions?
No, the Middle East is currently running around trying to get peace talks underway. Oman is coming back in the circle in terms of peace talks, where we
F-
expect them to talk about today.
FYI, Ghalibaf arrived in Muscat today to talk about multipass fees. Those Omanis, they're liking it now. They're like, yeah, yeah, come over here. The only problem is with the Israelis. Would the Israelis assassinate him? You know,
Well, they're saying talks are expected in Oman. I don't. They're talking about talks related to diplomacy between the United States and Tehran. So that's what I'm saying. They're coming back in the circle. Trump was saying that Oman is very bad people and they're no longer on our good side. And now he's coming back to the Omanis. In terms of who's running the peace talks at this point, it is the Pakistanis, Qataris, and Omanis. They've been in the circle for the longest time, and they're the ones that are repeating it. That's all I have.
Khalas. Okay, got you. All right. That being said, let's go to the questions. I'm looking up. I have to do it on my phone because I'm using my laptop. Usually it's the opposite, using the phone to record and doing the laptop. By the way, I mentioned Baby Huey. Wajah, you had your head down. Baby Huey is a cartoon character from the 1960s. And I said Trump will one day come stumbling out of the White House in a dirty diaper, looking like Baby Huey. And and there you go. And that's Baby Huey. That's what I had up while you had your head down. That picture. And Baby Huey is, let's just say he is educationally challenged, mental health challenged. Okay. And just like Trump, and Trump has about the exact same vocabulary as Baby Huey. And Baby Huey's problem is his size. Okay, where are the questions here? Oh, I'm supposed to be on the Substack app. Duh.
Where were you?
So, where was I?
Yeah, if you weren't on the Substack app, what
No,
were
no,
you?
no. To go watch the questions, I have to
Oh,
be on
okay,
the
okay.
mobile, the Substack mobile. This because I'm using my laptop, which I cannot leave this page to go answer questions. So that being said, people are thanking us for our duty for what we're giving people, folks here, and I'm glad about that. I'm glad you are all getting things. Um, they're posting cartoons and coffee mugs. And here's one. This is a great one. Look at this watch.
Oh my God. Coffee because murder is warning.
No,
Wrong.
Werner is wrong.
Murder is wrong.
Murder is wrong. Thank you. Oh, look,
Oh
there's
my God.
somebody else is from your alma mater.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, you got people there. Who is that? Michael Grobel. Okay, let me go back and answer some of these questions, and then we have to take off. Tomorrow, I'm going to leave your question about the Ukrainians taking out 35 ships for when Jacob is with us tomorrow. As you know, I will be traveling. I'm going on a secret mission, and
Yeah.
I will be broadcasting from the other side of the Atlantic somewhere. We'll keep that to ourselves where that is. because I often do this, and I'm working on things. The Laura Kay says the Iran war feels like another Vietnam, but with dire economic consequences that will affect the whole world. We had a difficult time getting out of Vietnam, and it seems like we're making the same mistake again. However, no, but they had checks and balances. And she writes, with no checks and balances, Trump will destroy America to stoke his ego. So demented. What do you think about that?
The problem is, and this is one of the most shocking things to me, is that you have a House and a Senate that uh, has constitutional powers, and yet they're willingly giving it up. To me, as someone that comes from a dictatorship, to me, that's the most mind boggling thing ever. How you live in a democracy in a country that gives you checks and balances, you get the Justice Supreme Court and you get the House and the Senate willingly giving their rights away for some reason is confusing. Why are you choosing to run for office if you're not going to exercise the Senate and the House powers to put in check the Supreme Court and the White House? This is exactly that was the first thing I was taught about the United States when I first came to the US.
They are, well, I mean, because they are no longer a Congress. You would understand that they are a Majlis al
Now
Hamida.
the Majlis
That's
al-Hamid,
that is
the House of Donkeys.
that is the a Majlis is a ministry made up of like a parliament, and I said it's a parliament of donkeys, right? And
Yes.
that's what they do. They have surrendered their power, they have subordinated themselves, and they have no checks against him because they love everything he's doing. They are mean spirited, they are nasty, they will lie, cheat, and steal to stay in power, and it has never really happened this way before in American history. And I don't want to hear people say,
You
"Oh,
are
the Democrats are the same." No, they're not. Not at all. Not at all. Nothing like them. The Democrats want to legislate and help you live your life better. They don't like that. When I say that, talking MAGA Republicans, full disclosure, I was a Republican for most of my life. You know, I was Colin Powell style Republican, strong on defense, socially liberal. These people are crazy, mentally ill on defense. Let's just hurt people is their social philosophy and then laugh at them when they fall down. I'm not a fan of that, right? I didn't do that. Somebody made a comment that in Israel, there were signs shown that demanding that Ben Gavir be hung in Israel by Israelis. So there is an
because he's not
opposition there.
far right enough.
No, no, is that what it is? I don't know.
Yes.
Uh,
People
somebody,
are pissed off in Israel because Ben Gavir did not follow up on his promises of being so far right and so hardcore. Literally, that's what those the protests on the street.
that's the Israeli MAGA, and they're and I can tell you where they are. They're the Orthodox. They're those people that spat on me when I went to the Wailing Wall. Right? I'm clearly American military. Clearly, there is a tourist. Right? These guys spit on you because they don't like your presence. And the worst ones over in Israel, I'm gonna be honest with all of you. Love Israel, love going there, love the people. There is a class of people that are now ultra, 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 ultra crazy MAGA. And the ones who are the worst ones over there are American hardcore Kahane right wing Orthodox from Long Island. And
And Russian.
the massacre in Hebron, wasn't it? Where the guy went into the synagogue, Baruch Goldstein. Is it Goldman or Goldstein? I think it's Baruch Goldstein. Went into this mosque and massacred, I believe, 29 men in there on his own. And he's hailed as a hero in some parts of Israel. So don't think just because people are socially liberal, you know, that old socialist, former European egalitarian philosophy that
Goldstein, people are commenting.
Baruch Goldstein. Okay, wasn't I right? What did I say? Goldstein, right?
You said
So yeah,
Goldstein first.
I got to tell you guys honestly, you know how there's mass shootings in the United States? Every time you get one of those, black people think Please don't let it be a black guy. Please don't let it be a black guy. That's how I was thinking when that massacre occurred in Hebron. Please don't let it be an American. Please don't let it be an American. It was an American, because there's a crazy class in every country, every culture. And this isn't because it's Israel. It isn't because it's the United States. It's because it's human beings. It's people. And there's a crazy class. And those crazy classes sometimes get into power. And we're just at that point where they're in power in the United States and they're in power in Israel. Somebody says, business of AI says, good morning, Malcolm. I followed you for over decade, beginning when I was working in AI. Political campaigns applying adversarial information retrieval and detection of our social engineering of our public and masses through social media, including detection of hostile foreign power manipulation of public opinion surrounding presidential elections. I look forward to your dose of sanity every day. Thank you very much. Because you know what? We need to understand we are not AI. And this is the reason why I have Wajeeh and Jacob on this show, not to agree with me, because they have different learned life experience. Nothing can get weirder than Wajeeh's, right? I mean, he's a Saudi dissident.
Okay.
He's married to a man. I mean, but he understands culture, language, ins and outs and machinery at a microfiber level, right? At a microscopic level that Jacob and we've lived in those countries. We operated against those countries or with those countries, but we still just can't get that. That's lived experience. I'm going to give you a good example of this. I had a guy the other day, or it wasn't the other day, it was about a month ago. This guy, I had put up something that was absolute based on the fact that I saw it, my aini, right? With my eyes, my uni. And this guy does this on Twitter. Grok is what Malcolm Nance says true. See, ever living fuck. Now, it's possible I could have been mistaken in my assessment. It's possible that I could have misinterpreted things, but I was describing an eyewitness event, right? I was describing, and the way things are now with AI is people are using AI to validate what they think is true and what is not true. And sometimes it comes out to hilarious results. Because as you know, I have these crazy people who are constantly attacking, black guys can't do anything. And they go, oh, Grok, is Malcolm Nance a fake? And Grok will come back and go, no, he's not. And it's great. And it drives them nuts. Same thing with this. Don't ask a computer what you should be learning by watching programs like this. You, as a human being, need to use this computer as what is it? As Hercule Poirot from Agatha Christie's novels says, exercise les little grains gray cells. Okay, and you evaluate it. Where conspiracy theory comes in is when things are said to you that are so fantastical that you would prefer to believe that than the millions and millions of pieces of normal evidence. And I was having a talk with somebody just yesterday who was saying COVID was made in a lab in Wuhan. And I said, why would you insult Mother Nature like that? Viruses have been around since the beginning of time, and they kill, and they are a living organism that kills the organisms they infest, but they have to be transmitted. And once they've transmitted it, they generally take all the energy, right? They're life-sucking, energy-related things. Why would you insult Mother Nature? Same thing, like The Daily Show had the best assessment I've ever heard of why you should watch programs like this. Years ago, Jon Stewart, when they were coming out with the 9/11 truth or conspiracy theory that the United States put explosives all up and down the World Trade Center and these other buildings. And they blew up the thing, and airplanes couldn't do it, and the airplanes were all fake and blah, blah, blah. And Jon Stewart does this on The Daily Show. Well, for an alternative view, let's ask a member of Al Qaeda. It goes to Khalid Sheikh Mohammed in a cave, right? And he goes, John, this is crazy. He goes, listen, man, we are here. We planned for 1 year using all of our expertise, putting agents in your country by sending them there as students. Easiest thing in the world. He goes, and then we sit here in a cave for a year, eating goat, trying to do something special. That's my favorite part. Trying to do something special, and we do it, and you say it's a conspiracy. America did it by putting bombs. No, we are Al Qaeda. We did it. We did
We're
it.
proud to. You know, the fucked up thing that the American conspiracy theories went so far to the Middle East and convinced people in the Middle East that Americans were to the point
It's in
my
my
mom
memoir.
trying to my mom was trying to tell me, no, 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 no. Osama bin Laden is an innocent guy. He didn't do it. The Americans all did it. George Bush was trying to get whatever he's trying to get his chokehold on the Muslims, and because of that, Osama bin Laden, you never seen Hollywood? They made a Hollywood movie of
CG.
Osama bin Laden coming out and doing the so to the point where I had to bring her one of her favorite religious imams and sheikhs and break it down to her on a video where no, Osama bin Laden was in touch with people all the way with the Russian government. He had his own intelligence contact. They sent people all the way to the United States. There's way more to it. And she goes, like the American conspiracy theories are yeah, are reaching the Middle East.
I met the assistant dean of Paris Sorbonne University in Abu Dhabi, former Emirati deputy charge d'affaires in Paris and defense attaché. He had both roles. Okay, in Paris. This guy told me to my face 9/11 didn't happen, and that the attacks, planes did fly into it, but it was Jews who flew the plane. And I said, okay, have a seat. It is. It's all over the world. Conspiracy theories are easier to believe. Now that those of you who have been through this show 136 days, do you guys think Bahrain flew little fighter jets into Tehran yesterday and dropped bombs in 4 places and got away with nobody seeing them? Or do you think the Iranians were just destroying some unexploded ordnance? You know, the conspiracy theories all over the internet today. So I just want to point that out to you. Nutty things are nutty. Leave them
Someone
to
was
their
saying
nuttiness.
that Osama bin Laden took credit for 9/11. Yes, he took credit for 9/11. But when you
He,
have conspiracy theorists coming out and they're saying the United States had a Hollywood actor come out and say that he was the one that is taking credit for 9/11, like that's how far people are pushing it. And people are believing it in the Middle East. That's all I'm saying.
you got to go watch that daily. Go look up Daily Show 9/11 Truthers, and because with Jon Stewart, and the 9/11 Truther comes back after the Al Qaeda guys goes, we did it. He goes, well, that's exactly what a government crisis actor would say. It's
Someone
like
was asking, so why did we go into Iraq? The United States going into Iraq has absolutely
nothing to do with it.
nothing to do with 9/11. Absolutely. In fact, Al Qaeda was not even in Iraq before the United States invaded Iraq. The only reason they came into Iraq because Saddam Hussein was kicked out of power. There was a vacuum of power, and Al Qaeda decided them stepping in would be a good
Yeah.
competition.
Okay, I want to go on to the one more question we're going over today, and I have to pack. Son, Kelly Horton says, what would happen if Trump launches a tactical nuke in Iran? We've talked about this a couple of times with the scenario that they would drop the Rangers or paratroopers into the Natanz or Isfahan. And instead of trying to get down and get the nuclear material, they would lower a tactical nuke and then leave and then detonate a tactical nuke to vaporize and collapse the mountain. That's a viable military option. I just want to point out something to you. No American would be allowed to travel overseas again. Everybody would shut the fucking doors right in our face, right? France, Germany, Britain, every country in this world would be forced to turn us into a pariah. They would be forced to. You, you, I can't even imagine. If you guys ever hear me go, hey, listen, if I do an emergency podcast, nuke debt, Iran, right? NUCDET, Iran, or NUKEDET, Iran. I'm the last person in the world that will ever report that as a fact. And here's why. I did a temporary duty at a national nuclear command post. And believe me, 10 minutes into that meeting, where you get there and they brief you and they show you a simulated nuclear attack on the United States with your town's name on it, you don't ever want to have anything to do with nukes again. You become an ardent, strident, hardcore anti-nuke, right? I am an anti-nuke dude, right? Nukes, if I had my way, if President Nance were here, I would unilaterally disarm. I would take 4,450 nukes, and I would get rid of them. And I would leave one submarine with 50 nukes. Because guess what? That's all you need. The world's over when you launch atomic bombs. Over, and done with. Past one or two. But use a tactical nuke, I'd have that. Watch, I would have that emergency meeting, and I would run my ass straight to JFK Airport and get on whatever flight is leaving the United States for Europe, because that'd be the last time I'd ever get out into a place that's free and fair. Because the world will shut the door right in our face, and they would be right to do it. Or I'd get in my car, I'd haul ass to Canada. I can see them right now. No Americans. 4 hours too late, buddy. It takes 4 hours to get up to Canada from New York. But yeah, that's what would happen. That's a scenario we don't like to talk about on this show because it's crazy. It means Donald Trump has lost his fucking mind.
People need to understand how nuclear tactical nukes works. The whole idea is it is a game of uh, a prisoner's dilemma versus if one nukes comes out, all the nukes comes out. And the reason is that is the deterrent. The deterrent
Well,
is if I'm gonna get vaporized and everyone else is getting vaporized, therefore no one is supposed to use a nuclear weapon. But what if you have one in office that doesn't think rationally and doesn't understand that game theory?
Trump has asked that many times. Why shouldn't he use a nuclear weapon? Why can't we use a nuclear weapon? I'm starting to get to the point that there are people over there that he's getting so frustrated that he will get desperate and he will use his senility and his dementia. And he'll say, somebody will say to him, like Stephen Miller will be that demon on his shoulder, or Netanyahu, and say, you will become as great as Harry Truman, who had to drop 2 atomic bombs on Japan. And Trump will get in and they'll say, listen, we're just going to nuke Isfahan, Natanz, and Shiraz. Those 3 facilities. Small nuclear warheads, not the full big ones, not smaller. They'll say only a fraction the size of Hiroshima, 5 kilotons.
Not the hydrogen bomb, not the hydrogen bomb.
No. It's just a little one. Little one. The problem with Trump, he'll be like, I need to use the biggest. I mean, this is mind-boggling. We shouldn't talk about that, and you shouldn't have asked that. No, it's a good question. Because Trump has been talking madness, and we need to be aware of madness. And Lives by the Lake's last comment here is what we're going to stop with today. I will go back and fill in all the others. You guys see, I go around and I answer questions. Sun Tzu says, an evil man will burn his nation to the ground so as to rule over its ashes.
That's right.
Welcome to our world. All right. Well, we've gone over today. Wajeeh, thank you for coming. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, come over to Black Man Spy on Substack and you can watch it live, malcolmnance.substack.com. Yes, we are trying to learn how to link this so we can do a YouTube simulcast. There are 2 different groups of people. We have 94,000 in Substack. We have almost 200,000 on YouTube. But we have a lot of people that are watching. If you are on YouTube and you're not a subscriber, just hit the subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't get me anything. All it means is you'll be notified when Black Man Spy comes on there. Wajeeh, see you tomorrow
See ya.
or tonight if they attack, right?
Hopefully not. We'll see.
Hopefully not. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice day. Stay cool. Bye bye.